Today we're going to be taking a look at the pros and cons of Fortnite. I call it the good, the bad, and the Husky. Part 2. Alright guys, this is part 2, the cons. I just want to reiterate how much I enjoy this game and how much I love it. And what they're going to do in the future. This game is going to be amazing. The cons, they kind of stack on top of each other. They each influence each other in their own way, so it kind of seems really bad, but I'm trying to give solutions too. So there's definitely routes that the game can take. There definitely is. I want to make sure you guys understand that I'm not bashing the game. I love it. But these are the things that I really think they need to fix, because it takes one of the main aspects of this game, the RPG loot grinding part, and it really diminishes the enjoyability that you get from these kinds of games. So let's talk about the progression. Stages 1 through 35, for the lack of a better word, are easy. Once the initial shock of playing and learning a new game wears off, you're stuck in a loop of a game not using its best mechanics to its fullest ability. Meaning, you bought a game to build forts and shoot zombies, and you don't have to build forts to be successful at all. That's 50% of the game you're missing out on for the first 35 missions. I'm assuming it's because how in-depth their menu screen is and the amount of stuff you can actually do in this game, so they wanted you to take it slow. But this is like three-toed sloth slow. This is like a snail riding on a sloth on top of a turtle slow. And then boom, out of nowhere, the difficulty spikes and the game becomes challenging. There is no medium. It's easy or hard. The solution I came up with was make the game ramp up in intervals, like every 10 missions or so, by simply adding more husks, so you're raising the pressure they put on your base, and you have to survive, so making survival harder. If you fail, well, guess what? You probably will learn something, you'll come back and kick its ass. Maybe they can even add a mini boss, like a gut check kind of thing, and actually test you, instead of just holding your hand for 35 goddamn missions. The grind and inventory. We're going to squash these two together because they go kind of hand in hand, like I said, but man oh man, is the grind real. Now, I'm a sucker for some good grinding in video games. I love it, in fact, but this is a bit too much even for me. I personally think it comes down to like the nuts and bolts and how arduous it is to grind them constantly. There's never been a point in the game where I passed up a car being like, oh, I don't need any more nuts and bolts. That's never happened. You know why? Because you need them to craft everything in this game, even ammunition. So if you use traps, you're low on ammo, and then if you use ammo, you're low on traps. You cannot do two difficult missions back to back without a farming mission in between. That really messes up the whole flow of the game. And just to touch on a quick side subject, I don't really have a solution for this one, minus adding a vote to kick button, but people don't want to spend their resources, so they will always do the bare minimum in missions just to get by. Who wants to spend 20 minutes smashing cars for no reason than just farming crafting material, and doing so overflows your inventory? Which is the second part of this section. The inventory is always bogged down with stuff you don't need, and that is due solely to the auto loot mechanic they have in the game. You destroy something for materials, you get everything. Sorry, but I don't need the 777th plank in my inventory. The solution? Reduce crafting costs for traps and bullets. It's that easy. The fact that bullets take metal and wood, I think, is enough. Making 10 stacks of bullets burns through 100 wood, 40 metal, and 20 nuts and bolts. The stack varies on the type of bullet you do, but considering you can stack up to 5,000 bullets for some of your guns, you burn through your materials pretty quick. For traps, you can't move them, it's one and done. And half the time you're going to place them in the wrong place anyway, so make them a little cheaper to craft. And on a side note, let us move the traps once we place them. Let us be able to vote to kick somebody so we can have helpful teammates when the mission's going on and they're still looking for treasure chests and stuff. It's really detrimental to the game's community. And lastly, let us pick up our own loot. This will fix the entire inventory problem. Will be solved. Just let us mouse over and pick up the loot that we want. Alright, and lastly, this is the big one, guys. If you have watched my stream, you should know what it is. Loot and llama. First, let's talk about the loot real quick. To actually understand this, you have to know two things. 1, every weapon in this game can break without being able to be repaired, and 2, the ability to actually retain any loot you gained is through schematics, to be able to craft new gun when it breaks, which honestly is a system I like. It's new and fresh and different, but the problem is the only way to gain schematics is through llamas, and they are gained by paid currency. You can earn llamas from the game, sure, but they are rinky-dink llamas with low chances of giving you anything worthwhile, which frustrates a player quickly. Just to be clear, the only way to retain new weapons is through llamas, which are paid for. That's it. Okay, now back to loot. The way the game was showed was there would be a ton of loot for us to find, upgrade, and evolve, but how it actually is, well, it's a different story. There is loot in a sense that you do find things from time to time, but the loot you actually want is too few and far between. Now, I'm not at the end of the game yet, but I doubt that the looting scheme will change much, and I doubt you'll start having legendaries rain down to your heart's content. And even if it did, it still doesn't make up for how this was handled in the first place. Even if you find something good, 9 out of 10, the durability won't even be enough for you to finish the round and will break by the time you start the next mission. We'll touch on this a bit more as we go through the rest of the section, guys. Like I said, everything kind of stacks on top of each other. Alright, so let's talk about farming real quick again before we move on to llamas. In any RPG game ever, you have to grind. But in most games, there's at least a chance, even if it's 0.00001%, to get something good from that grind. Here, you're grinding materials more than mobs, but at least the elite monsters should have a chance to drop something. Anything. You shouldn't have to be pigeonholed into buying llamas to get gear that you can actually use throughout the game, and not just for one level. And speaking of that, let's talk about those llamas. Alright guys, so these are the llamas. These damn things. Me personally, and once again, this is just my opinion, I feel this is the biggest blunder by far. I can live with all the other things if they just change this. Don't make llamas the only goddamn way to get schematics. On top of that, it's all based on RNG. So even if I'm lucky enough to get a decent gun or trap, I have to pray to the RNG gods that the perks on it are at least somewhat useful. And if they aren't, I can't go out and grind some more to try to get a different roll on the weapon. I have to buy another damn llama. Because of this, it's an illusion of pay to progress, which I assure you it's not, which I will explain. But you should be receiving some gear at some point for doing harder missions. I'm doing level 46 missions and still receiving blue rewards from Quest, which is to grind yet another aspect of this game, but we won't get into that. Quick solution, make grinding rewarding. Make it so you at least have a chance to get something worthwhile from somewhere besides llamas. The game is not pay to progress, and I want to make that clear. You can clear all the missions with purple guns and only using your one good legendary gun the entire time. But that ruins the whole aspect and excitement you have from looting and grinding. That chance at finding something, the mystery of looting something and receiving something different. I don't want things to be handed to me, but I at least want a shot to find them. And here's the solution for the whole llama debacle. They missed a huge opportunity with this one, and although it's supposedly in the works, it should have been like this from the beginning. Cosmetics. Holy crap, how did they miss this enormous opportunity? You have gigantic customizable bases, but mine has to look the same as everyone else's. My character has to look the same. Gun skins, traps, effects. My traps could shoot poison arrows and someone else could shoot fire arrows. Little things like that. They could have an outlander look like an Amazonian woman and her fort was made of tree vines, or have a ninja sitting in his huge dojo with mats instead of floors. All of these things should have been in the game already, and let's face it, 6 years in development is a long time. They don't need to put gear inside of llamas, they need to put cosmetics in there. And people will still buy them, I promise. I play a lot of free-to-play games and they make money. I don't think this was the right choice they did, and it is the biggest gripe I have with this entire game. Just yesterday, I read an article that someone spent $1,500, 1500, to get a mythic hero out of a llama. That is absolutely bananas. I cannot believe somebody did that, but he got one. As far as I know, he got one. But would you do that? I wouldn't. Okay guys, I know it was long, but that's the good, the bad, and the Husky. Please don't get me wrong, I love Fortnite. I cannot stress this enough. I love this game. It is fun, difficult, and super addicting. I haven't played a game this much since World of Warcraft, and it has a huge amount of potential. I know the cons seem concerning, and they are, but they technically don't take anything away from the amazing gameplay mechanics they have implemented, and they are amazing. The core gameplay loop is a lot of fun and can last a very long time. Always trying to improve your gear, your traps, your character is a lot of fun. The cons just take away from the feel and the flow of what this game could be, and it can and most likely will be resolved in the future. Don't forget, this game is still in early access, and as such, many things are subject to change. The sheer amount of stuff they have included into this game is mind-boggling, and with a little early access polish and finesse, we will have a great game. I tried to address the problems as I see them. Remember, these are my opinions, and adding solution to these problems instead of just complaining is imperative to actually improving the game. Alright guys, that's the good, the bad, and the Husky, the pros and cons of Fortnite as it stands right now. Thank you so much. I hope this was insightful. I hope it helped you out. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Smash that like button. Thanks so much for watching. TikTak out.